This is my 1971 Honda Trail 90, and we're gonna teach you guys how to make it fast with the least amount of money. What we're gonna do now, we're gonna actually do a fourth gear pass, and we're gonna show you the speedometer. And after we do all the performance upgrades, we're gonna do it again, and we'll see the speedometer one more time so that you get an actual speed change with what the bike was and what it will become. Alright, here we go. The first thing is to fix the throttle cable problem, because the new carburetor that we're going to install has a different throttle length, and basically what's happening is we're changing from a 17mm, the stock carb that came with the bike, to a 30mm flat slide carburetor, which is a hell of a lot better. You guys will see. So we have to take apart the throttle piece off the carburetor and proceed to remove the intake from the bike, so we can replace this intake for our performance one with a performance carburation as well. Here we go. Now we're going to remove the stock intake, which it's been there for 30 years, so we'll see what happens if we get lucky here. Okay, try to do this with the bike hot, so you get a greater chance of breaking this bolt loose and not breaking it inside the head, which is a real pain in the ass to fix for the home mechanic, but hopefully you won't have to deal with that. Alright, I prefer to do the second bolt with an open side. I'll be right back. I have the 10mm open side wrench, and now we're gonna find out if we can actually do this. Well, needless is to say that you don't throw away any of the old parts, because there'll be a chance that you're gonna have another bike, or a friend of yours will have another bike, and then you can donate that to him.
Or her.
Or her. Alright, so the carburetor came out. Baby. Okay, come on guys. Come over here and take a look at this. And you tell me what's wrong with this picture. This bike has been running like this for years. I never cared to open it, but now that I open it, I see something that really tampered with my power. If you see that mark, that's the original intake being covered by this gasket. It's basically like a restrictor plate, and I'm losing quite a bit of my power here because of that. So make sure that all your gaskets that you install and everything that you put in the intake is match ported to what you're doing. And we're gonna go on and show you guys how to match port as well. But this right here is a really big rookie mistake that a lot of people make. You see that? All of that? That hole should have been that big. And all of that is power difference. The bike is gonna be so much better after we do this. Okay, make sure you measure the intake. Wow, this is really restricted. Look, 18. Okay, let's do this again. What we have right there is 22 millimeters with a restricted intake. Alright, and what we should have had was 26 and a half, which is the match ported intake with the stock manifold. We didn't have that, that's why we only topped out at 40 miles an hour. You guys get a better reference. This was the old and this is the new. You see the intake port difference?
And
This is the old intake with an intake port opening of 26.5. It's 26.8 there, but it's 26.5. And this is the new intake with a much larger opening of, well, not much, but considerably more, of 29 millimeters. Alright? 29 millimeter difference, which really we're gonna try to make 32 if we have enough meat on the head to do that. Okay, so this carburetor is a 30 millimeter flat slide in comparison to this 17 millimeter. I mean, you can immediately see the difference without me having to actually explain what's going on. But what this does, it limits the RPM limitation of the motor. And this will give us a lot more usable RPM, having a higher development of speed with this piece. Now we're getting a razor blade and we're gonna proceed to scrape off the old gasket as close as we can to the base of the head. And then clean all the excess off best you can, and try not to put any shavings inside here. So now we have a somewhat cleaner surface to lay our new gasket on. Here's our new gasket, which I believe that our Chinese co-workers were smart enough to match port to the manifold, but not quite. You know, it's somewhat match ported, but this manifold could use some port in there. That's gonna create turbulence, and you gotta try to fight turbulence. That's the real game. Internal turbulence in the manifold. That's what we're trying to fight. Okay, so now if we put this gasket over the bike, I think we have a problem, David.
okay.
I don't think this gasket fits. Okay, as you guys saw in the previous thing, the gasket was restricting us, and therefore we weren't getting the top end that the bike was capable of. So we manufactured a new gasket without restriction, and if you see the image here, just like you saw the other one before, now you can see the full 22 millimeters of the intake, which is perfectly matched with the stock intake manifold that we have here in our hands. So basically this hole and this hole are equal in size, but the gasket before was restricting that equality, therefore making the bike less powerful than the manufacturer intended. So now we're going to reinstall this carb and we're going to go for another pass and we'll see the changes. Maybe we get 5 miles an hour more. Who knows? This is a trick to put the throttle cable back on any of this type of slide, the round slide. A lot of carburetors share this slide, and this is the way you gotta put it so that you don't fight it. You first hold, you compress the spring, and you hold a little piece of the throttle cable in your hand like so. Then you place this into the hole like that, and then you basically push it back, and voila. I've seen people take an hour just to do this. A million other ways. This is the best way to do it. Take it from me and my 12 years of experience. Or more, maybe now. What do we have now? 14? Yeah, shit. Time flies. Okay, so a summary of what we've done. We opened up and we saw we had an intake restriction with a gasket that somebody put in there years ago. We made a new gasket that did not restrict the intake, and now we're gonna proceed to turn on the bike and go for a spin and see our top speed difference.